So yeah, Peanuts had an Election Day animated special also! Are we going to see Charlie Brown kicked out of school for refusing to vote? Is Snoopy just going to up and decide he's going to run for Emperor of the entire Earth? Probably not, since this is still a pretty early Charlie Brown cartoon special, back when there really still wasn't much of a storyline in these cartoons, which I'll get to as we go on. So for now, let's see what your not elected Charlie Brown actually did turn out. The special opens with Sally coming home from school all ticked off, and then we immediately cut to the titles. Wow, that may be the cheapest teaser in history.
I'm never going to school again.
What's the trouble?
I can't get my stupid locker open.
Man, if she's gonna overreact to that, how's she gonna deal getting stood up for the prom? So they actually drag this bit about Sally and school and her locker along with this gag about Snoopy and breakfast and Sally trying to use Chuck for show and tell. So we go through nearly a quarter of the show's runtime before we finally start the main plot. The election for student body president is coming up, and Linus thinks Charlie Brown might consider running. But guess who shows up to rain on the parade? Okay, to be fair, Lucy does volunteer to be a campaign manager and take a fair poll before declaring Chuck has no chance of winning, and she actually delivers the news pretty fairly without rubbing it in. And that actually gets me thinking about when this character became the type that really made my blood boil. This was the 8th Peanuts special and premiered just prior to the 1972 election. If we were to separate these shows as classic Peanuts and modern Peanuts, with classic Peanuts being the specials with Vince Guaraldi's music, Lucy really didn't become the cruel little witch that really delighted in tormenting Charlie Brown, well, outside of the whole football thing, until the modern Peanuts specials. So if there's one good thing I will definitely say about classic Peanuts, yeah, Lucy's not quite as hateable as she will eventually become. Hey, sometimes you take what you can get with certain characters. Oh, and then we get this part with Snoopy sneaking into the school as Joe Cool, making some rather creepy passes at elementary school girls, and I think you all know where this is headed.
No dogs allowed.
See, Snoopy, if you hadn't dropped out of the Ace Obedience School, you wouldn't have to try stuff like this. So, with Chuck supposedly out of the running, Sally suggests her sweet Baboo, and Lucy proceeds to take another poll.
If my brother Linus were running for student body president, would you vote for him?
Yeah, I know I just said that this Lucy isn't the type to want to see Charlie Brown fail, but somehow I doubt she tried to be this persuasive when polling for him. But she eventually comes across one person whose vote she can't sway.
If you knew that he was going to straighten out the whole educational system, would you vote for him?
No.
If you knew that he was going to solve all the problems of the whole world, would you vote for him?
No.
Well, why not?
'Cause I'm the one who'd be running against him.
Ooh, damn, get some ice for that burn!
Okay, the results are in. The results are 99% for Linus, 1% against.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to compare this to Shermie and Violet's polls.
I'm here this morning to nominate for the office of school president a great young man. But first, I'd like to say a few words about Beethoven. Oh, good grief. The candidate whose name I would like to place before the electorate possesses the same unique combination of qualities as those possessed by Beethoven.
You know, I think Schroeder might be a little bit obsessive.
I accept the nomination for the office of student body president.
So now that the two candidates have been selected, it's time for the real campaign to begin.
What are you going to do about drinking fountains?
I'm for them.
Good. What will you do about recesses?
Longer recesses, I say.
Good, good. What about homework? Are you against homework?
Hear, hear.
What about sick pay? Are you for sick pay?
I'm for it.
I've lined you up with a talk show so you can have a chance to answer questions that some of the voters may have.
Yes, I'm
rivers. Our school doesn't have any rivers. Hello? Am I on the air? Yes, you're on the air. What is your question? Well, I just called up, I have questions, and you know how it is when you're a voter, and I just wanted to ask.
And this is why talk radio doesn't take callers anymore. Eventually, it gets time for the election campaign's version of Thunderdome, the debates.
I'm very honored to be running for student body president. If I'm elected, I promise to do the best I can.
If I'm elected student body president, I will purge the kingdom. My administration will release us from our spiritual Babylon. My administration will bring down the false idols in high places.
Yeah, sadly this isn't as entertaining as the debate between two other comic characters who could only act like total douchebags, verbally attacking one another. Yeah, them. As the final debate approaches, Linus seems to have a clear, comfortable lead on his opponent, and it looks like he'll coast to victory easily as long as he doesn't do something stupid.
I decided to say a few words about the Great Pumpkin. Ugh! Halloween will soon be with us, and on Halloween night, the Great Pumpkin rises out of the pumpkin patch and brings toys to all the good little children.
Now, this was where in the series and the comic strips that this special was adapted from came to an end. But to the show's credit, they managed to keep it going by saying that Linus still has a chance to win even after such a humiliating scandal. God, there are so many comparisons I could make to a certain other election that my producers won't let me. So it comes down to election day, but as all the ballots are being cast and the score is tied with one more to go and Russell himself casting the last ballot, it looks like...
I think that he would make a better president than I would.
Wait a minute. So, does that mean that Linus's Great Pumpkin speech actually won over his own opponent to vote for him? Damn, Linus actually managed to get a convert! That might even be more amazing than Charlie Brown ever being able to kick the football!
Linus is the winner!
With Linus having won the election, Sally and everyone else seem to be certain he's gonna make sure things are gonna change around this school.
You go right in and tell him. You've got the authority. We voted you in.
Not so much.
Well, not really. As a matter of fact, he told me.
He's sold out! We elected him and he's sold out!
Well, think of this as an early lesson for you all. Democracy doesn't work. And then the thing ends with Sally kicking her locker open as if to say what happened at the beginning was actually worth something. This special, it wasn't terrible to be sure, but I really hesitate to call it good. I do like that they expanded on a storyline from the comics to create a new climax and twist at the end that didn't involve Charlie Brown getting the screw job for once. However, they still have to pad out the story with a lot of filler, especially in the first act, which causes the story structure to really be all over the place and makes it difficult to get invested. It looks like another case where Charles Schultz was really pressured by the networks into making a special like this, so he basically had to just throw something together to appease them. I get the feeling this was the case with a lot of specials, particularly in the early years, and maybe that's why Schultz didn't really care for making many of them. Quite a few of the newer modern Peanut specials started to get more original and creative in their storylines for the most part, so maybe he looked more favorably on those. In fact, after this, I think I'm gonna keep looking back and forth at the classic and modern Peanut specials and comparing them in that regard. So hopefully that will lead to even more possible discussion on future Peanut specials reviews. Of course, provided we still have a country after this election day, so I can actually do those reviews.